What is going on, guys? So the Pixel 2 XL has been out for around 4 years now, and I'm also seeing a lot of reviews of this phone that reviewers are putting out at this very time, because the price for this phone has dropped significantly and you're getting a good Pixel device with a best in class camera around a very reasonable price now. So many people are looking to buy this phone and are confused if they should go ahead with it or not. So I checked the price for this on different sites like Ubuy and stuff. You can get this for around 10,000 rupees as well. But on Amazon, the renewed ones you can get to up to 22 to 25,000. So between $100 to $200 you can get this phone right now, which actually makes it a budget or a mid-range phone. And it was a flagship phone 4 years ago. So I had bought this after a couple of months of its release and I still have it. So you can see that the screen is broken here. So that damage it has suffered. And also there are some chips at some places. So it has suffered significant damage, but it still works. So let's see if you should buy this phone right now or not. And the only reason why one would consider this is because it still has one of the best in class cameras, and the way I would put it is, if you go for the latest phone in this price range and compare it with the photos that come out of this camera, then you might prefer somewhat the photos that come out of this camera more, because it still has the best in class processing algorithm and Pixel phones have always excelled in that, really contrasty and punchy photos. And also there are some more upsides to this phone, so it really makes it a great deal. But there are some things that probably might tell you to stay away from this phone as well, so let's find that out now. So first of all, let's look at the design. I think this was one of the best designs that Pixel ever got. Yes, I do agree that the Pixel 4 XL got that matte finish, that orange colored thing, and I think that was also more good, but this is nothing less. Also, this orange color power button gives it a more aesthetic feel. And one of the best things about this phone, I would say, is the display. Although it has thick bezels, but it has no notch or no punch hole cutout. So actually this is one of the few phones, even at that time, this was one of the very few phones that was not going for a notch or a punch hole. And I think this is very much appreciated for media consumption, because there are still some people who might find it difficult to get used to that notch or the punch hole or any camera cutout that the screen would have. So the full screen display it might take the immersive experience away. Although yes, many people do get used to it, but this is always much more valuable. The other good thing about this phone was the dual speakers. The speakers were really loud enough, and the best thing was that they were front firing. So when you're watching media, both the speakers throw sound towards you, and it really gives a good immersive experience. Next thing about the design is this fingerprint sensor. This is the most convenient place for a fingerprint scanner, I would say. And it is pretty fast too. So I think in an era where fingerprint scanners are more appreciated, although it does not have the in-display fingerprint, because at that time that technology was not that fluent and didn't get released to any phone actually, but still this back fingerprint scanner is always appreciated and is the simplest way to get into your phone, I would say. Now the next thing is the display. It is a Quad HD AMOLED display, and that is why it also has the always on display. It also came with this cool animated background, and it really looked classy. Now the next best thing about this phone is the cameras. So this is one of the best cameras around that time, and still today it gives out good images. It is the 12 megapixel f1.8 aperture sensor, and still the photos coming out of it are really good. The photo quality is still sharp, and it also does well in low light performance. And also I would say that the video when this phone was launched was not that great, but a couple of software updates, especially with the latest Android 11, have made it improved a lot. And in low light also the video, I would say, is pretty good. On the front it has that 8 megapixel sensor, and I think this also does a pretty good job just because of that post processing of Google. Now the next good thing about this phone is the processor that it came with. It came with a flagship processor, the Snapdragon 845, which is still a pretty powerful processor. And still you can do pretty intensive tasks on this phone. And Snapdragon processors have always shown to maintain their level of performance even a couple of years down the line. So guys, now that you've seen all the good things about this phone, let's see some of the main points why you shouldn't go for this phone right now. So the main thing is that the software updates for this phone have stopped. That you will no longer receive any security updates or any. I mean, the Android 11 is the last version for this phone, and so if that is something that bothers you and you want to receive software updates in the future as well, then this is not a phone that you should go for as of now, because all the updates have been stopped for this phone. Basically, this phone is no longer supported by Google when it comes to its software, and the software is the main part of this phone. But if you really don't care about that, because Android 11 and the update, the security patch on this phone is stable enough and it works really well and really fluently. So all the things that you do work really flawlessly. So it really does give that Android stock level Android experience still in 2021, even though it will no longer receive any future Android software updates. Now the other drawback of this phone is the battery life, the battery health. Because since this phone is out for a while now, even if you buy a new one or a used one, the battery health would have dropped by a lot now. So even though this shows a good amount of battery life, like it still would last a day. So I charged this last night and its standby time is pretty good. It would last me around the next morning, so it can easily get through the day. But if you're using it intensively, like taking a lot of photos and videos, and the screen on time is a lot, then you can hardly expect it to go for around 4 to 5 hours. So it means that the battery health has gone down a bit. And if you're indoors all the time, then that's not that much of a problem. But if you're traveling, then this is nothing to consider anyway. So guys, these were the drawbacks of this phone right now. So if you're looking to buy this phone, do keep in mind that this phone is no longer supported by Google and will not receive any more software updates in the future. And also the battery health might not be that great. Yes, another thing to keep in mind is that the latest Pixels still don't have good battery life. Although the Pixel 5 have changed things a bit, and the Pixel 4a as well, the battery life is pretty good on those phones, but still they are more expensive, and especially in India they are very expensive. But still, I would suggest if you really want to go for a Pixel, then do try to go for the Pixel 4a, and if not at all that, then do try to go for the Pixel 3a or the 3a XL. I think those were the pretty standard phones and still would receive an update for a year or so. But in my experience, I still have this phone, and I think this phone was one of the best phones that Google had ever made. And this is like the iPhones of the Android devices, because iPhones are used for years, and this phone, even after 4 years, still works flawlessly, just like an iPhone would. So that's it guys. Hope you guys like this video. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.